Welcome back to Banging the Can, the Houston sports podcast that does not apologize for championship rings and tings, presented by Bolen Media. I am your host, Ross Bolen, and postseason baseball is upon us, folks. After waiting through the wild card round yesterday afternoon, our Astros opened up their 5-game series against the Seattle Mariners. And predictably, we came out of the gate looking kind of sluggish and offbeat offensively. But to make matters worse, Justin Verlander did not have his stuff. I mean, JV looked really, really off. Couldn't hit his spots for shit. Body language wasn't great. And the Mariners were absolutely teeing off on the old man. It looked like he was throwing batting practice during one of those first few innings. I genuinely could not believe what I was seeing. I was distraught. So while Verlander was giving up, at the very least, solid contact to almost every single hitter, we couldn't get any momentum on the other side of the ball the first few innings. And it felt like we were in for a Game 1 loss and another grueling and stressful postseason ride. I mean, because I always get super excited when October is upon us. And then the first few games, I'm reminded there is some downside, and it is stressful. Like, it's really, really, baseball is a stressful sport to be a big fan of. I mean, the ups and downs are, last night was a perfect example. And I own and operate a small business out of Austin, Bolen Media. And I was watching the game in my home office and fiddling with a green screen so I could get on Twitch and react to the game and share my misery with other Astros fans live on Twitch, because it was like the third inning. Things were not going well. And I dropped the green screen upside down, so it was stuck shut. Like the lid over the green screen was stuck shut. And because I was watching the Astros fail to do a goddamn thing offensively for yet another half inning, while I continued struggling, I was distracted, and I was trying to pry this thing back open with a hammer. Look, long story short, I almost lost 4 fingers on my right hand. I still can't feel my thumb on my left hand. The thing slammed shut on my hand, and it was jammed shut on my fingers, on my 4 fingers on my right hand, and they were stuck in there, and it hurt so bad, I legitimately thought I was about to lose 4 fingers based on the pain. So I'm yelling, "Help! Help!" like a child, and my pregnant wife comes running in like, "What the fuck have you done?" And as we're getting my right hand out, my left thumb gets stuck in there somehow. And it really got in there good. So for like 30 seconds, it was stuck. Got it out. It also hurt like hell. But my point is, my right hand is relatively unscathed, considering, but I still can't feel my left thumb at all. And I'm probably going to lose that nail entirely. I can't feel it. It's been almost 24 hours at this point. So immediately, I'm like, we got to get out of this house. I think it's the 4th inning at that point. I'm like, the juju is bad. I have to switch things up. I told my wife earlier, she was like, "You want to go out to dinner?" And I was like, "No, I was watching the game." But this changed things. So I changed outfits entirely, took off my Astros jersey and shorts. Yeah, I'm a dork, Lord, I don't give a fuck. And I rolled out with my wife to this little Cajun restaurant around the corner from our house that I knew would have the game on. So I ended up watching Yordan Alvarez's walk-off home run on like a 30-inch TV 15 yards away. And it was like a TV behind a bar, like 15 feet away. Okay, not yards, 15 feet. But in this little Cajun restaurant with probably, 12 tables in it, maybe 7 of them are occupied. And I was the only person in the restaurant watching the game. And the sound wasn't on for the game. Like the process of us going to dinner, like getting ready, changing clothes, going, I'm watching on my phone in the in-between, and a lot of time passes. Obviously, we get to the 9th inning by the time we're eating our food, okay? And I yelled out, when Alvarez did what he did, I yelled out, "Oh my God, he did it." And everyone looked at me like I was out of my mind. And then I sat there masturbating under the table as they played slow motion highlights of the boys celebrating for the next half hour. This podcast is late because I just got bailed out of jail. In all seriousness, what I'm saying is I gave my left thumb for us to win that game and completely shifted our momentum by leaving my office, leaving my house entirely, changing clothes, sacrificing my thumb, and bringing home a Game 1 victory. But let's talk about the real man of the hour, Yordan Alvarez. We signed Yordan to a 6-year extension in June. You may remember, $115 million for the third-place MVP vote getter, assumedly, behind Judge and Ohtani. That's the dude we have locked in through 2028. Look, when he came up to bat with 2 outs in the ninth, in the bottom of the ninth, 2 runners on, every single person in that stadium knew there was a chance. You can hear it in all the fan videos from people who were at the game. Shout out to Michael Schwab, the dude who put up on Twitter. He said, post all your in the replies, put all your fan videos if you were at the game. And then the Astros account mimicked him and did that. I just want to make sure he gets credit. And there were so many good ones, but you can hear it in those fan videos. Videos from the cell phones, people saying, what if he goes yard here? Like right before he does. I mean, we all knew there was a chance. I said to my wife when he came up to bat, hey, this is our best guy. This is the dude we'd want up. And like a minute and a half later, he hit a fucking bomb that still hasn't landed. I mean, I can't believe they pitched to him at all, frankly. That may be the last time anybody does. He absolutely obliterated that baseball. There was no doubt. No doubt. You saw it in Bregman's reaction. The cameraman panned from the swing to the upper deck immediately. I mean, that's how I knew immediately that it was not just gone, but long gone based on the camera angle alone. I was like, oh my God, he did it. And I still can't believe he did it. I mean, he really is him. Yordan is that dude. The first person in Major League Baseball postseason history to hit a walk-off home run when his team was down multiple runs in a postseason game ever. One person has done that ever. It has been almost 24 hours. I still can't feel my thumb, but I also still can't believe this man actually murdered that baseball the way he did and ended that game and, in all likelihood, any chance Seattle had of upsetting the Astros. I mean, do you realize the momentum Seattle has if they win that game? They would have had like a 73% chance to win the series at that point. Mathematically, based on history, Game 1 winners, 5-game series, that's where you're at. If it's a home winner, I think it's 74%. You get 1 more percent. So it would have been really, really, really bad. I mean, it would have been a devastating loss. Absolutely brutal. That's what Bregman's bomb, not to be forgotten in this madness, and Yordan's walk-off saved us from. And Dusty Baker, man, what a performance. You could argue he left JV out there too long, if you want to be a psycho. But it's Justin fucking Verlander, folks. How many times have you seen him give up some runs the first few innings, then lock in the rest of the game and barely give up a hit? I thought Dusty gave Justin the perfect amount of time. Not too long to exhaust him and let the game slip out of reach, but didn't pull him so early that JV would have been upset. And then you've got this dramatic bullshit in the clubhouse, right? Like, of course, it's easy for me to say this in hindsight, walking away with a win, but I thought he was stellar. I thought he showed resolve, Dusty. I think he deserves as a huge part of the sturdy veteran leadership this team has, obviously. He deserves a lot of credit, and I literally love Dusty Baker. And Verlander, man, I hope he comes back locked in for his next outing, because that shit there, that was not it. That was not even close. And frankly, he's always been a little shaky in the postseason, minus a couple standout outings. He doesn't have a great track record in the postseason. I think because by the time, teams like Seattle have seen him all season, like 15 times or whatever, and they're obviously a very good team. So it's a totally different ballgame where guys are much more likely to be able to predict what you're going to do. So you really have to have your stuff. And he looked like ass. I mean, he knows it. So I hope we see better from Verlander moving forward. But here's the thing. Our pitching staff is so good and our offense so absolutely hilarious that it really doesn't matter if we get regular season JV. We just need him to be better than he was in Game 1 of this series. That much I know. But he doesn't need to come out there with his, unhittable stuff. It's just like, you gotta do, that was ridiculous. Like I said, it really did at one point feel like he was throwing BP. It was confusing. Every dude who stepped into the box was crushing the baseball into a gap. It was very, very concerning. I don't want to see that again. But just to make sure Alex Bregman gets his flowers, Breg's turned it around big time. Big time the second half of the season. I mean, he's gone back to being the offensive powerhouse we all know he can be. His 2-run home run got us back in that game last night. It's the thing that gave Alvarez the opportunity to do what he did and win this thing. So huge props to Alex Bregman. He's been enormous this season in the wake of Carlos Correa's departure, just as a leader in the infield with Altuve. And man, did he show up big time in game 1. That was a stressful ride, but it ended in a way that made the stress worthwhile, and it felt like good stress in the end. And it felt like we proved, to me at least, and I think to a lot of our fans, that once again, look, we're in this for a World Series run. The first few innings, it felt like, oh God, are we having to worry about Seattle? And not to say that we shouldn't. They're a very, very good baseball team. Obviously, they deserve respect. But what we're capable of offensively, I mean, especially when we're under the gun, it's almost like Golden State Warriors back in their run-esque, where you just, no lead, feels safe. Like, people thought that game was fucking over on Twitter, which is not, all that shocking. Twitter is a fickle place. Sports fans in general are fickle people, if you haven't noticed. But Twitter, oh my God, it's doomsday every day. Fire everyone, sell the team with every single league. It's insane. But Major League Baseball Twitter is just such a pretentious and strange place. And it seemed like the game was over if you were going off of Twitter. Now, obviously, I'm not a moron, so I don't do that. But even so, I was so concerned that I changed freaking outfits and left my house just to try to change the vibes. And it worked, and you're welcome. But, God, it feels good when that goes that way, right? Because there's so many times I've done stupid, superstitious stuff that didn't work at all. And when it does work, you know how many rally caps I've worn in my life and just sat there like a dumbass with an inside-out baseball hat on? Like, this isn't doing anything. What a ridiculous idea. Okay, here's the thing. I used to laugh my ass off at the concept of like a fan base being able to change the outcome of a sporting event. But the older I get, the more respect I have for like the collective energy of a people being aimed at one conscious thing. And if there's like millions of people rooting for the same thing to happen, part of me now does believe that it's actually more likely to happen. But I was stressed during this one. I felt it, man. And not in my thumb though. Everywhere else, I felt it. I really am a little worried about the thumb. It's the worst injury I've ever had during a sporting event. Maybe that's not true. Well, no, I think it is true. I mean, if I never get the feeling back, it definitely is true. So game 2 is Thursday at 2:37 at Minute Maid. Obviously, we want everyone there early and loud if you're lucky enough to go to the game. Tag at Banging the Can and all your social media video and photos on Instagram and Twitter. If you're at the bar, if you're at Minute Maid, either one, doesn't matter. We will share them at Banging the Can on Instagram and Twitter. We got Framber Valdez, the quality start king, going up against Luis Castillo, who is obviously great, but we've shelled him a couple times this season, if I remember correctly. I feel good about our chances. Looks like the Astros are currently minus 150 to win. I like that bet. The over-under is 7. I like the over as of right now. The over is the only thing I bet on game 1. I'm not really sure why. It's just the only thing I felt confident in. It was 6.5, and I was like, okay. So obviously that hit in like the 4th inning, that was nice. At least I didn't have to worry about my bet while I was worried about our comeback. You know what I mean? I haven't locked in anything for game 2 yet, but I do like us at 150. That's not bad. I didn't like the juice on game 1. That's what it was. With Verlander, you end up getting like 240, 250, 220. I don't like paying that, but minus 150 for Framber, I'll pay. And over under 7, I'll still take the over. I like a lot of runs in this series. I think both of these teams are exciting offensively, and we continue to see a lot of offense. So there will probably be 2 runs in the game, and I would fade my ass and take the under, just based on what I'm saying right now. Stay tuned to my social media at WRBolen on Twitter for more. I'm also at WRBolen on Instagram, but I don't typically post sports stuff there as frequently as I do on Twitter. But yeah, I'll share more in terms of the lines as Vegas has them when the game nears closer. But that because the 4th inning bet hit, it ended up being a blessing in disguise, JV being a mess, because he gave up so many runs early that I didn't have to worry about my bet. But hoping for a less stressful game, too, and that the rest of the series is a little bit of a breeze. We know that's going to be really, really stressful times coming down the line. Like, that's happening. Similarly to the way we have to be realistic with our Texans expectations, okay, for the season, we have to be realistic about our stress levels going down this playoff stretch. And you know it's going to be bad. You know it's going to be bad. So I would prefer this first series be less stressful, and game 1 was a bit of a roller coaster, albeit one that ended orgasmically. If you like Banging the Can, check out the Ross Bolen podcast. My comedy show is also presented by Bolen Media, where me and my co-host Jared Borislow and a variety of other characters over the years have a lot of fun, some solid mental health talk mixed in. It's the Ross Bolen podcast, available wherever you listen to Banging the Can. Also, if you are an F1 fan, my co-host on RBP, Jared Borislow, hosts the Formula Bone F1 show, also available on all platforms. He has like 70,000 subscribers on YouTube, though. That's his main place. Go watch the full video of the episodes. He records out of a children's F1 bed here in the Bolen Media Content House. Formula Bone is awesome for veteran F1 fans and people who just got brought into the sport by the Drive to Survive explosion. Follow at Formula Bone everywhere and enjoy. And finally, if you're watching HBO's Game of Thrones prequel, House of the Dragon, we have the #1 House of the Dragon podcast in the realm here at Bolen Media, titled Oysters, Clams, and Cockles. If you know, you know. That's not the full title. The title is just Oysters, Clams, and Cockles. And also, it's available wherever you listen to Banging the Can, hosted by myself and one of my best friends of over 20 years, also a Houstonian, Mr. Barrett Dudley. Oysters, Clams, and Cockles, if you are watching House of the Dragon, available wherever you listen to BTC. Even the Texans won this week, man. I mean, like, don't get excited or anything. It's just one win, but still, it's been a great week for Houston sports. Rockets preseason has started up. Things are heating up here on Banging the Can the rest of 2021, folks. So lock in. Hit bolenmedia.com/shop for Banging the Can merch. We're going to come up with some tight stuff for the playoffs. Once House of the Dragon is over, this thing has got me swamped, okay? Once that's over, focus is shifting. More Banging the Can. Going to get y'all some great merch, I promise. Really appreciate the support. Can't wait for Game 2 tomorrow afternoon. Tag us in all your social media at Banging the Can on TikTok, on Instagram, on Twitter, everywhere. Full video of these episodes on YouTube. What's up? Appreciate you for watching on YouTube. Means a lot. Thank you very much. And follow us everywhere at Banging the Can. Tag us in all your social media during the game, wherever you're watching. I know you're taking off work. I see you. Going to the bar, sneaking to the ball game. Take videos. Just don't put your face in it if you don't want to be seen by your boss. At Banging the Can on social media. Tell your friends and family about the show. Follow us everywhere. I am Ross Bolen. I'll be back after Game 2 with another pod. Until next time, go Astros. And as always, H-Town, stay down.